So you got uninquisitive players that aren't super interested in the lore of your game, because ultimately you shouldn't really be trying to tell a story and this is your world and you want to get your players to be excited about your world. But how can you do that? Because your players might not be that way off the bat. And it makes sense because they might not have a reason to. Maybe they've played with you in the past and all you are telling some story and it's all about the story that you have and everything. But how can you make them care about it? You want to give them little nuggets and rewards to where if they do care about it, cool stuff happens. If you want to train them in a certain way, if you have a DM style that you're wanting to get to sync up with your players, that's an important thing, because you want to have fun as a DM, you want them to have fun. And if you love the lore and world of your game, it has to matter to them in some way. But how does you make it matter? So the first thing is tie it to their backstory and care enough as a dungeon master with your story and that you have and all these things that you weave them into that. So it's a y'all story. There's my Texas showing. But look at their backstory, give them something about their backstory. But maybe these uninquisitive players didn't give you a really good backstory. Sit down with them one-on-one. I have multiple videos I've done on backstories. I'll link in the description. I have an entire free PDF about backstories to help your players kind of coax it out of them. But sit down with them and get them to have, say, at least something having to do with their backstory. Or let's say they didn't give you a backstory and you kind of like co-created one. Think about the things that they engage with. Watch how they play. This is the second thing. Watch how they play. Do they like to engage with people that need help, or it's like old people that need help, or small children that, oh, my cat's stuck in a tree? Do they like engaging? What do they like to engage with? I had one player that really engaged with trade, and he loved being an entrepreneur and starting his own leatherworking network. That's awesome. So I had to now sculpt my game, and even the lore and the cities they go to, guarantee you the next city they went to had a huge leatherworking shop that was a tycoon of the industry. How is he going to interact with that? You know what I mean? Make them care about your lore, and maybe tie in the lore of this leatherworker, and maybe he's tied into some other things. How does he get all this leather? Is he the one that's he was responsible for the mass genocide of all these creatures with some sort of pelts, and now they're almost extinct, which is why, you know, see what I'm saying? Like maybe the lore ties into this cool thing that one of your players really, really likes. And watch how they play, watch what they engage with, and if they engage with a certain NPC, or if they engage with a certain type of NPCs or a group or something. Weave the lore into that group. And then this now gets into the conditioning your players, psychological manipulation, is give them something where there was some book that they could have read, there was something that they could have done that they did not engage with because they're unengaging, what was the word, uninquisitive players. Because they're uninquisitive, maybe they didn't engage with something, and then after the smoke settles, after the mission's over, they realize, oh, if we did, we could have got this. Or the NPC or whoever you're talking with is able to say like, oh, well, they see something that they could have gotten. They're like, oh, maybe if we really, then we could, you know, those next level monsters, or throw monsters at them where you have to research and find out some lore about the monster, maybe research it a little bit. And maybe a monster has something that completely levels them, and they go back to town and they're like, oh, well, if you spoke to the man in the mountain, he could have told you how he survived the tail of the whatever monster, right? So weave lore into parts that matter to your players, whether it's lore behind a magic item as far as how it works, or maybe they have a really cool sword and they want to figure out how to unlock its abilities and they have to figure out some pieces for it. Don't make them jump through hoops through your lore. Do it to the parts of the story that means the most to them. Time out. I know the video's over now, but if you want to take this thing into overtime, click the link right here to go check out my Patreon, where I make monthly D&D resources every single month. It's the best way to help support the team of what I do here. You can check it out for yourself. There's a ton of rewards and resources. So until next time, stay creative, think outside that box. Peace.